what is up and welcome back. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about all of the books that I have read so far in the month of May, what I'm thinking about them, how I'm feeling about my reading, books that I am going to be continuing in the second half of May, as well as a couple of other favorites that I have so far this month. I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. I like when people do mid-month check-ins. I like knowing kind of where they are, if they're struggling, how they're adapting to that, whatever it may be. Full disclaimer here, I'm having an amazing reading month, but I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. I hope you guys are also having a good reading month. So let's go ahead and just get started. So I did kind of do a palette cleanser at the beginning of the month where I just wanted to sit down and read a ton of comic books. I've really been in the comic book mood. It is summertime officially in Ohio. We just essentially skipped spring. There was no spring at all. I just immediately went into summer. So I did just want to kind of have something more light to read, and I was trying to read more contemporaries, and then I realized I didn't want to read contemporaries. I just wanted to read something a little bit shorter. And I know you guys can relate. A lot of you guys read comic books. I'm sure you guys have read a few of the ones that I'm going to talk about today. But overall, I read 10 comic books so far this month. Most of my reading this month has been comics. I'm really, really liking it, like I said. So I'm just going to kind of go over the ones that I did read. A lot of these I got from the library, so I don't actually have the physical copies of them with me. A few of them, or one of them, I do have a physical copy of, but the rest of them, like I said, I got from the library. So the first book I actually read was Lumberjanes and Gotham Academy. It was like a I want to say like a collab, essentially. It was like a Mod Podge of the two of them together. I loved this story. As somebody who has not read any of the Lumberjanes, I didn't know if it was going to be a book that I was going to be able to read or if it was something that I needed to read the rest of the series. I ended up giving it 5 stars, as well as I have further checked out more Lumberjanes and more Gotham Academy from the library because I loved it so much. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I thought the story was really cool. I liked the group of girls. I liked the Gotham Academy kids as well. I'm really interested in reading more of them, and I really like the story. And like I said, I don't think that you need to actually know anything about either of them to read this. It is about there's like a lodge, and essentially the lodge is stuck back in time in the 80s, and I thought the story was really cool. They all get transported back there. Well, not all of them. Some of them actually stay outside and they're trying to like help their friends. I thought it was really cool. I liked the camaraderie. I liked the storyline. I liked all of that. I'm sorry if you can hear a fire truck. I'm just going to keep going. And then I also read Shutters Volume 2, 3, and 4. I am waiting for the 5th one from the library. I love this series so much. You guys know I've spoken about it before on my channel. I have to say it is my very favorite comic book series that I have ever read. It is not for everyone. However, I do think that the storyline is really cool. It's about a girl whose dad is not who he says he is. Nothing is really what it seems, and she thinks that she's the only child of his, and it comes to find out she has a ton of brothers and sisters, and she's being hunted, and there's a lot of like spooky things that happen, some kind of like mind-bending stuff that happens, and there's a lot of murder. There's just a lot of stuff, and my favorite character is actually a cat called Cassius, who is essentially he's an alarm clock. That's what he is. He's like a little computerized cat. But he becomes my favorite character. And if that doesn't say anything about the series, I don't know what will. I absolutely love it, and you guys should definitely read it. Like I said, it is very mature. It's definitely adult rated. There's a lot of cussing, a lot of murder. But the humor in it is so funny. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me do like little updates for the comic books as I was reading them, and I died. I cannot get enough of them. And I rated them all 4 to 5. I think 2 I rated 4, and then the other 2 I rated 5 stars. And then I did actually pick up a really interesting comic called Theyre Not Like Us, which is a comic book that is was touted to me as an X-Men-esque comic, which it definitely is. They do have like superpowers they are able to do, but instead of caring and wanting to help like the X-Men did, they really only cared about themselves, and it was so awesome. I ended up giving it 4 stars because there's a couple of things about it that I didn't really like. I felt like parts of it were semi-redundant, but the storyline is really cool. I like the main character. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I liked the like professor, like the alternative Professor X and the alternative like characters that they had. I thought it was really cool. The only thing that bugged me as well was the art style. I did not like the art style at all. It's one of those art styles where everything kind of looks like it's hairy, if that makes any sense. Like I said, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw updates for it. But if you guys are interested, I would definitely check it out if you guys have been thinking about checking it out. It's a very dark kind of comic book in the way that it's written, the way that it's drawn, and the content. The next book that I actually read was one that I've seen hyped all over the place, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It's Nimona. I think I gave it 3 stars. I read the big compendium. It was like 300 pages, I think, something like that. I ended up giving it 3 stars because I liked the overall storyline of the bad guy who gets like the henchman, essentially. That's what Nimona is to him, and kind of how they develop a relationship, and then they start blurring the line between what's good and what's actually evil. And I really liked that, but I struggled with Nimona as a character, and as her being the main character, I didn't really enjoy her. I liked the main bad guy more. But I still the storyline was really cool. I like that she's able to transform into a bunch of different things. I like, not inanimate things, but like animals and stuff. I liked that kind of aspect of it, but other than that, I wasn't the biggest fan. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I gave it 3 stars, but it wasn't my favorite of all the comics that I read this month. And then I read Saga's Volume 2 and 3 and cried at work. I gave both of those 5 stars. If you guys are not familiar with Saga, I don't know how you aren't, but it is essentially about these 2 people who are on opposite, like, warring sides in opposite armies, and he's a prisoner of hers, and they actually end up falling in love and having a child and kind of running away. And that's the basis of the story, but it is so much more than that. The story is essentially about them being hunted, and I don't want to tell you what the 2 and 3 were about. If you haven't read it, it'll give away really everything. But it's an amazing comic. It's very, very in-depth and kind of heartbreaking, but there's a lot of humor. I love how brass they are about like sex and things like that. Like I said, it's very, very, very mature, but I really like it. I love the TV people. I can't remember what they're called. They're like my favorite, and I like their babysitter, but I don't know, I really, really like it. I'm really bad about remembering, like, who's who, though. But I like Lion Cat a lot as well. Like, a lot. Anyway, I really, really like those comic books. I think they're done really well. I think they're very, very beautiful also. I think that it's just overall a really great comic book. I've heard that there's a little bit of a lull in the middle of them. I think, like, 5 or 6, it starts getting a little bit slow. But then it picks up again, so I'm going to continue reading it and try to get through the lull. And the last comic book I have here is actually one that I broke down and bought for Independent Bookseller Day, and that'd be The Rat Queens Volume 2. You guys know that I love this comic book. I gave it 5 stars, as I'm probably going to give all of them. Once again, this is a comic that does have a lot of sex, violence, there's drugs in this, there is just a lot of things that definitely do not appeal to younger readers. This is not something that I think I would let anyone read if they were under the age of like 16, 17. But I fucking love this comic book. I don't know what it is about these ladies, but I do really enjoy them. And if I'm not mistaken, this is written from a D&D campaign that a bunch of guys are actually playing. So all their characters are female. They're all badass, and I'm so blown away by that. I think that they're doing such a good job of the female characters in this comic book. This is not for everybody. I've heard people, that don't like this book at all, these comic books at all, but I'm a huge fan. And this one in particular, you get a lot more backstory on a few of the characters, and I really, really liked that because you're falling more and more in love with them at the same time. But yeah, if you have never read Rat Queens, I would definitely recommend it because I think it is very interesting, but like I said, sex, like graphic sex, violence, that kind of thing. So if that's not something that you enjoy, I wouldn't read this. Alright, then getting into the actual books that I was able to read this month. I don't have a physical copy of this book because I rented it from the library, but it'd be Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. If you guys follow the vlog, you guys know that I've been wanting to read this for forever. I actually saw it at Barnes & Noble and wasn't sure if I wanted to buy it, and then I just decided to rent it from the library. My copy of Not Your Villain is actually at the library, and I think my husband went to go get it for me. I'm really excited. I've fallen head over heels in love with C.B. Lee's writing. I love her representation. This story, as I said, if you guys don't follow the vlog, is about a girl who's born into an Asian family. They're Asian. It's Asian representation. She is also bisexual. And she's born into this family of superheroes, and this is kind of the world that they live in, where there's superheroes and villains, and her parents are superheroes, but she doesn't have any kind of power. Her sister does, her younger brother may, but he's more just on the, he's very, very intelligent kind of thing, so he has other paths. So she struggles with trying to figure out where she fits in. So she takes a job working at this corporation who kind of works on robots, and you find out that it's Mr. Mischief, who is her parents' supervillains, like who they fight against. It's kind of his job. And her crush, Abby, actually also starts working there. And it is just such a cute, fun book to read. I loved it. It's definitely teen. It's not YA. It's not middle grade. It's definitely teen. But it was still very, very fun. I gave it 4 stars only because bits of it were slightly predictable. A couple of things where they almost divulge who they are. They're like, oh, I'm her parents. You know what I mean? Like they do things like that, which I eventually wanted to start counting because it happened quite a lot. But it doesn't necessarily take away from the story. It's just something as me as an older reader kind of started to notice. But I genuinely loved it. I love C.B. Lee. I'm a huge fan now, and I cannot wait to read Not Your Villain. And then I finally got around to reading An Ember in the Ashes by Saga Tahir. This was a book that was sent to me by Penguin Teen. I loved this book. I actually picked this up thinking, oh, I want like a lighthearted, not lighthearted, but a lighter book to read because I'm still struggling through the Black Prism. And I was like, I need a lighter book. This is not a lighter book. If you guys follow me on Instagram, if you follow my blog, you will have seen me freak out about this book. It is so wonderful, and I just want to let you guys know that just because Penguin sent this to me, and I know there's a lot of people that are talking about it recently, there's a reason, because this book is so wonderful. I've had so many of my friends be like, oh my god, I love that book, I love that series, I'm rereading it, the new one comes out the 1st of June. I'm really excited. It's just such a cool story. It follows Leia and Elias. I'm really bad about names like that, but Leia is a girl who kind of lives within the Scholars. They are people that are oppressed by the people that Elias kind of works for. Essentially, they live in this small town that is outside of a... I don't want to say... There's like prisons and things there as well, but it's more of a training ground for the masks, as they're called. And she is one day attacked. Her brother is taken from her. Her grandmother and her grandfather are killed. And then she kind of joins the resistance that she thinks her brother was a part of. And the job that she is essentially given in return for getting her brother out of the prison that he is sent to is actually to go to this school and infiltrate them and work for the commandant of this school. And she is a raging bitch. Like, I've never hated a character more than I've hated her. On the flip side of that, she is Elias's mom, as well as Elias wants to desert. He wants to get out. He needs to get out. He doesn't want this kind of life for him. And I loved that, you guys. Like, it is very, very hard to stomach at times. There is trigger warnings for rape here. There is abuse. There is assault. There is everything that you can imagine, child abandonment, everything like that in this book. And Saga does not hold back. This is definitely still a YA book, but it is more on the adult side of the brutality that this book has. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars only because there were certain bits of it that I didn't necessarily enjoy. You guys can find my review for that on Goodreads. It was more of a problem that I had with Leia at the beginning of the book, but she's definitely way, way more badass in the second part of the book, and I cannot wait to read the second one. And the next one that I got here is actually a novella. This is something that my friend Sam sent me, and I just read it in one night because I'm super interested in it. It's called Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. This is about a boy who, they're a Native American family. They live off of the reservation, and his father actually dies when he's very young. But he starts to see his dad as a ghost the older he gets. I think he's like 10 or 11 in the book, the main character is, and he starts to see him, and a lot of crazy things start happening. And while this is pretty spooky in a way, because there is a lot of like, there's like murder in it, there is like a lot of really adult things happen in this book. This is obviously an adult book, but I really liked the Native American aspect of this because he definitely touches on stereotypes in the Native American community. If you guys are not familiar, I grew up in the grand state of Alaska, and I have a lot of Native American friends. Obviously slightly different because they are Native Alaskan, but they do suffer some of the same things. Like, they tend to be labeled as just alcoholics and kind of worthless, and that they're, all they're good for is hunting, or that, they only care about money and gambling. And unfortunately, that is something that they do struggle with. And a lot of my best friend of 21 years has dealt with that her entire life because she is Native Alaskan. And I loved reading that, as hard as it was to read, and I think that Stephen did a really good job of that. This is definitely a harder book to read, though. I ended up giving it 4 stars because I was kind of lost at times and had trouble kind of connecting the ending to the rest of the story. The other thing that I really like is the other main character, the younger brother, is also special needs, as well as the mom is a single mother, obviously. I really like this story. Like I said, very, very hard to read, very short. It was a little over 100 pages. It's like 107 pages. Still very, very good if you guys are interested for like a short, more adult hard read. I think you guys would really like this. So that is it for all the books that I have read. Now, I am currently still reading, I have started A Torch Against the Night by Saga Tahir because I really want to finish the series, as well as, oh my god, Only Human by Simi Novel came out, and I am reading this with Bex from Bex Books, who I will link down below, and I'm so in love with this story, you guys. You have no idea. I am going to eventually do a series review because I've heard so many of you guys were inspired and wanted to actually pick up the book and read them, and I'm really, really glad for that. So I'm going to do a whole series review, non-spoilery, and then the second half will be spoilery coming later in the month. But those are the two books that I'm still currently reading, and then I'm also going to be picking up Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and then whatever else I get around to reading this month. So those are the books that I have read or am currently reading or plan on reading for the rest of the month. Now, I wanted to get around to some like lifestyle favorites, some other interests that I have that I just wanted to talk to you guys about, things that I'm enjoying, that I have been enjoying for the last, 2 weeks or so. The first parts that I want to talk about are actually music, some of my favorite songs, albums, bands that I've discovered recently. I get a lot of questions from you guys, like, mostly on Instagram, about like music that I listen to, because I like to post my Spotify playlist, like what I'm listening to, what songs I've found. So I wanted to kind of take that into the second portion of this. So the first band that I wanted to actually talk about is a band called The Wise Man's Fear, which is hilarious because that is the second book in the Patrick Rothfuss series, the Kingmaker series, and I love this band. They are a, I don't want to say metal, but they're kind of, post-hardcore is one of my favorite genres, but they're a little bit heavier than that. But I absolutely love it. My favorite song by them that I've been listening to recently is a song called The Deepest Dark. If you guys follow me on Spotify, I have it saved there. I genuinely just love that song. It's a little bit more melodic than it is like screaming, but most of their music is like that. Most of their music is very, very heavy, but this song in particular I genuinely love, and you guys should definitely check it out. And then of course, I've been listening to my babies all month. I've been listening to Seosin. Seosin is my favorite post-hardcore band. I absolutely love them so, so much. They are, they've had their ups and downs. They had an original lead singer. They got rid of him, then they got Cove as their lead singer, and they have 2 or 3 albums with Cove, and then he left, and then they got the old lead singer back, but only temporarily. I don't know, it's really confusing, but there are a couple of albums with the lead singer Cove that you guys absolutely have to listen to. I listen to it on repeat, the whole album, both those albums constantly. I just genuinely love their music, and if you're interested in like a little bit harder kind of rock, I think you'd really like them. And then of course another band that I've been listening to nonstop is a band called Dayseeker, specifically this album here. I love Dayseeker. They are, like I said, a post-hardcore kind of metal band. I think that's the genre that they fall into. I could be wrong about the genres about all these musics. I just really want you to listen to these. This album is a mix of metal, rock, and more melodic stuff. I genuinely love it though. I've listened to it on repeat constantly for probably the last 6 months. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me talk about it. I just genuinely love everything that they do. Well, everything on this album. I believe they're trying to come out with a new album more like recently, as well as they are on Warped Tour right now. The last and final Warped Tour, they made it. They are not a very, very big band, but they are a very, very amazing band, and you should definitely check them out. And then here, there's a song by this band. It's called Light My Fire. Oh, Light the Fire is the name of this band. And there's a song called Entity that they have, and I genuinely cannot get enough of this song. This is like a driving song. This is a song where you're like on your way home from work or on your way to work and you got to get like pumped up. This is the song that I would listen to for that. It is once again more of a rock. I don't only listen to rock, but it is one of my favorite genres, rock and country. I don't have any country songs on this month though, just rock. But they're definitely a mix of kind of electronic rock at times. It's a very strange thing. I will actually list the playlist down below that I have all this music on. It's actually called 3 a.m. Wake Up Call. It is a collection of all these bands. If you guys are interested at all, you can find them there. So I will list that down below for you. So that was the songs, music, bands, albums that I've been liking this month. Now I want to get into video games. This is going to be the last thing that I'm going to be covering. I wanted to talk about all the video games that I've been playing and all the video games that I've been loving. As you guys know, I play WoW regularly with AJ and G here on YouTube. We kind of have like our own little thing going. We've kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks because there's always something happening with one of us, but I'm still really into WoW, as well as I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online for the last 3 years since it came out. I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online since it came out on computer, and then I moved to Xbox, and that's where I primarily play. I love Elder Scrolls. If you play Elder Scrolls, if you'd like to play Elder Scrolls with me, please let me know. The new expansion's coming out, and I'm saving up money to buy that because I need it like I need another hole in the head. And then, of course, as always, I'm also playing Hearthstone. I play Hearthstone constantly, whether it be I work with my friends, whether it be with people on Instagram. I play with people on Instagram all the time. Just playing by myself online, whatever it may be. I play Hearthstone constantly. If you are somebody who play Hearthstone and you want to play Hearthstone with me, please don't hesitate to ask because I would love to. And the very last game that I've been playing over and over and over again, I played this on Steam when it first came out, And then it was for free on Xbox, and I'm playing it again there. It is Oxenfree. Oxenfree is by far one of my most favorite games that I've ever played. It is up there with Fable. It is up there with Skyrim. I love Oxenfree. It is very creepy. It's about these kids who go to this island, and then the island kind of doesn't let them leave, and it's because there are spirits that inhabit there from a submarine that is actually sank, and the spirits are trying to go through them to get back into, like, the walking mortal world. And I love it. The best part about it is that you can play through and get a bunch of different endings. You can kind of hook people up that would normally be hooked up, or you can, like, break people apart. You can bring people back from the dead. It is just such a cool game, and if you play it once, you know, you get, like, your ending, and then if you go to play it again, the characters, because it's, like, one of those, it's a game where you just, like, walk around and select dialogue and kind of talk to people. It's really cool, though. That makes it sound boring. It's totally not boring. But my favorite part of it is when you go back to play again, you start to notice that characters are saying different things. They're like, oh, I feel like we've done this before, or, oh, I feel like, you know, this has happened. And it's because it's one of those games that remembers what you've done before. And I love games like that. So if you are at all interested in, like, kind of spoopy, a little bit creepy kind of games, I think that you'd really like it. Especially, like, the ones, like, I don't know if Telltale Games does this or not, but Erin Yvette is in it. She does, like, The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us from Telltale Games, as well as Hammond. I don't remember his last name. I can never remember his last name. He does Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us as well. They're, like, voice actors for that. So if you're familiar at all with those, then you'd really, really like this. But I genuinely love this game. I have been playing it nonstop for a very, very long time. Like I said, I played it on Steam on my computer, and then I also play it on my Xbox. I prefer Xbox, but yeah. So guys, that is everything that I've loved so far in the month of May when it comes to the books that I've read, the music that I've liked, and the video games that I have just been inhaling. If you guys like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. I will probably try to include television shows or movies later on, probably in my wrap-up. I don't watch a whole lot of TV anymore. I tried to watch Mr. Robot and didn't like it, so I'm kind of looking for more shows. So if you have any shows, like especially anime, that you think that I'd really enjoy, please leave it down below. But I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you guys are so far having an excellent reading month, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!